torch and dip it into the sexy St. Jeff candle. No Buffs is back. I'm J.E. Skeets here in the Classic Factory along with my fellow tribe members. Two people who always keep it $1.20. It's my beautiful wife Nora Artinian and super producer JD.
It's like spending $1 American in Canada.
Yeah, $1.20.
Right? Yeah, American dollar.
The conversion there. I was going to go with something like two people who I guarantee have a greater chance than 6.25% of taking a nap later today after they eat turkey.
Entirely too much math in this episode.
A lot of math.
I don't come to Survivor for math.
I know. Especially incorrect math.
Get it out of here.
Not to be a dweeb about it, but I believe that was incorrect, Andy. We are here to recap episode 11 of Survivor 47 titled Flipping the Win Switch. No TK. He's actually celebrating Thanksgiving. Unlike us Canadians, just coming to work like a normal Thursday. No, we wanted to talk about this episode. Before we do that, though, huge shout out to the live tribe for joining us right now on YouTube. I saw somebody there in the live tribe chat saying, I'm cooking right now as I watch and listen to you guys, getting ready for the big Thanksgiving Day.
What are you making? Tell us.
Yeah, let us know what's on the menu.
Yeah.
Take a second, though, to smash that like button like you're smashing some potatoes for mashed potatoes. Nice. And make sure you subscribe. Leave us a 5-star rating and review. If you are a podcast listener, we'd really appreciate that. We're very close to something like 5,000 subs on YouTube. So let's hit that. Podcast listeners, come on over, subscribe to No Buffs, and then just go back to downloading and listening to the podcast.
It's the least you could do.
Exactly.
We're here on Thanksgiving, guys.
I know. This is a paid holiday here in the States. And here we are in the Classic Factory. Okay, let's go. Episode 11. We're getting down to the nitty gritty here.
It feels like it.
Though there is 3 episodes left because they did add a 14th episode this year.
Yeah.
But we start episode 11, night 18, post-tribal council. We got Sam, we got Teeny, we got Rachel thanking Kyle for his service, thanking him for voting out Gabe along with them. And then Rachel makes sure to check in on Sue, right? Because, Sue left out of the vote. She explains, Rachel does to Sue, look, people are out for Tuku blood.
Yeah.
I just had to make sure it wasn't you. It had to be Gabe, okay? That's sort of how she comes about it. And then Caroline tells Sue, yeah, I voted for Gabe, okay? I did it behind your back. Sue immediately questions, whether she can trust her, and does tell us, I can't believe Kyle is still here. So we'll get to more of Caroline and Sue's conversation in, I believe, the next scene on day 19, but any thoughts on the setup here of post-tribal council and Gabe going home?
Everything made sense that was happening here. Nothing too surprising. I did think maybe Sue would be a slightly more reactive, just given how we have seen her be very expressive about her dislike of Kyle. So I was like, maybe Gabe going home is not going to go too well. But she handled it okay, honestly.
I agree. I thought she'd be way more emotional about it. She was in confessionals, but that's the spot to do it.
Yeah, she bounced back pretty well. And she said, I'm glad it wasn't me, which is really all that matters at this point in the game. And was willing to talk to people. She didn't have a fit or anything like that. So I was happy with how she handled it.
JD, you agree?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I was shocked actually that she took it so well. Just because, later in this episode, she's like, I'm drooling for Kyle to be, annihilated. And but I mean, she played it off well. And I thought Rachel played it great. Everybody involved played it great. And I thought Caroline, being, as her bedside manner was awesome.
Yeah.
And her taking her aside and then breaking down into tears. And I think that she was completely sincere later on, when she's saying, look, this is my dream. But you're still my number one. And Sue seemed to buy it. So.
Yep. Well, let's go to that because that's day 19. They did have a rough night. By all accounts there.
Oh, yeah.
One of those.
Brutal.
You'll love to see it.
Rainy nights. Yeah.
You like some suffering, JD?
Yeah. 26 days. I mean,
That's true.
I don't know. Every season I complain in the new era
that it's too
this
short. This
season
too easy.
has been great, but it's too short. It's too short.
Well, and if it's going to be short, you want a little crappy weather here and there. Not every night, but sprinkle it in, literally.
This is really the first time they've mentioned it being really unpleasant.
Yeah, they're almost 3 weeks in, and it does feel like the first time where it was
We've seen it.
Warmth was an issue during the night, sleep obviously, because it's still rainy in the morning. They're hoping like, oh, I think the sun might come out. What do you think the odds are? So they're all there, again, huddled around the fire, huddled around the shelter.
I loved the weather in general this entire episode. Like, ever been to the cottage, you know? Speaking of Thanksgiving weekend, and it's like a kind of a rainy day, and you're pulling out the Risk.
Hell yeah.
You know?
Yeah, sure.
You're down by the dock, and it's the lake is choppy.
Oh, yeah. Ooh. It's rough.
This whole episode was like that. I love days like that at the cottage.
You felt like
I like him every once in a while, for sure. Yeah.
Sure. Well, you don't want it the whole time.
No.
But
Right. But the weather is playing kind of like a character in the episode as well.
Oh,
setting some
character gets a
set of a
vote
tone.
later on.
yeah, but it's still not that bad. I mean, we've seen seasons where we get shots of their feet and the skin is hanging off of it. You know,
because they're like waterlogged.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So-
Again, this does feel like the first, from what I can remember, the first real bad night.
Yeah.
And they didn't complain about it that much,
Yeah.
or at least
At least we're not seeing it.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're like, oh, that was a crappy night. Damn, thank God we only have less than a week left.
Yeah, exactly.
Sort of how they're looking at it. So Sue does feel miserable, though, and she feels alone now that her number one in Gabe is gone. So Caroline tries to console Sue.
Yeah.
First, they're in the shelter, and I didn't think Sue was taking it all that well. I thought she was pretty standoffish.
Yes.
When, again, Caroline is, like, trying to, like, I think she, like, has her head on her shoulder and, you know, is, like, trying to be buddy-buddy with her. But then they go take a walk. They go talk it out, and this is where Caroline does a much better job of probably winning Sue back at least and explaining why she targeted Gabe. And Caroline said, look, I felt like I had no control over my own game. It was all whatever Gabe says goes, and I didn't want to be a goat. I didn't come out here. I've wanted to play this game since I was 5 years old, and I sure as hell didn't come out here just to be like dragged along and do whatever this guy says. And then maybe make it to the end, but have no chance of winning. Like, man, again, we've talked about this before. She's really good at removing herself from the actual island and, like, looking at it from the outside in.
Right.
And saying, oh, what have I done? Or what am I setting up? So that's what she says. We get a little bit of her life story with her ADHD, and she has felt like a failure and all that. And at the end of it, Sue's like, all right.
Yeah.
We're good. 1-2, baby. So she did a good job.
Watching this conversation, I was like, Sue is very hard to read. Her face, she doesn't really emote very much.
Yeah,
when
you can't see it through the mud.
Well, there's that.
We don't need to get into
Two
that.
things I will never have the answers to. Why is her face filthy, and
Yep.
why does she hate Kyle so much? We still don't really know.
Yeah.
I don't think the vote itself is just it. She has it out for him. But sidebar,
Right.
Sue is a mystery. But she doesn't really emote when she's listening to you.
Yeah.
And she's kind of an intense person. So I was watching Sue as I listened to Caroline, and I truly don't know how this is going to go.
Yeah.
But Caroline did two things that worked, I think. She pulled on the mother-daughter vibes that they have mentioned from the beginning, where she talked about being a kid, being 5 years old.
Wow.
And she tugged on this idea of, like, I didn't want someone else who happens to be a man making these moves and me not having agency, because we've heard Sue mention several times about coming up in this male-dominated world and becoming a flight school owner and all this stuff. So I feel like those two things she leveraged to get Sue back in her good graces, and she did it really eloquently.
So whether intentionally or not, that she played those two cards.
Whether she knows she's doing it or not, I thought that was a great way to present how she ended up there.
Well put.
Yeah, I agree. I think she definitely knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
Oh, look, let me make this very clear. Rachel, Genevieve, or Caroline is winning this game.
Oh, they should be winning
Period.
this game. Should be
No,
winning this game.
period. One of those three women are winning this game.
Okay.
I would bet my life savings on it.
I agree with you.
Which is also your life savings.
Sorry, sir.
That's confidence.
Good
I'm
grief.
sorry. They have to be one of these three.
Are you secretly betting our life savings on this?
No,
Does
but
the
I'm doing
maker-
I'm doing all right in the Make Your Picks.
Oh,
2 weeks in a row. I got the right person.
Yeah, same.
Anyway,
not.
Same.
yeah. But that's how. I think it's probably that order too. So I do have Caroline sort of third among those three women in terms of chances to win the game. But she's an awesome player, and I do
agree.
love that she did the whole like, get out of here, Gabe. Like, she knew, and she was right. This is how it would have went. She would have been a part of the alliance. She probably would have sat at the end. But she's there with him. She probably doesn't win. And she's like, well, I don't want to play that. I'd rather go out. Maybe, before the even final three.
Right.
But at least I had some agency and made a move or try to make a move. You got to respect that.
For sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, I mean, I know we don't want to talk about how dirty her face is, but also we know the reason. Like Caroline on Carson's podcast, she was demonstrating how you contour with dirt.
Do we actually think that's it though? I saw
What
that
else
as
could
well.
it be?
It's good reason, I guess.
I need Sue off so I can ask her.
Yeah. We need
Sue,
a Sue exit.
I need you to
interview.
exit and explain yourself, my dear.
It is very distracting, though.
Of
Yeah,
course.
but then now it's almost to the point where it's distracting when her face isn't dirty. Because
Right.
later in this episode, I was like, oh, it wasn't for once.
Totally.
And I was like, who is that?
She looked great. I was
did
like,
look
she's
good.
not looking like Pigpen on this island.
Yeah, it's very
Finally,
strange.
her face is clean. I don't even think the contour is helping her. She's very contoured.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, there's no mirrors. That's the problem.
Yeah. All right. Well, meanwhile, at the water well, Andy, Rachel, and Teeny talk about being the tightest three out there. And then here comes Sue and Caroline. They wander over. They join the group. And Rachel says, looking around here at the water well, I feel pretty good about the group standing here. Maybe we got ourselves the Underdog Alliance. So a new alliance or voting block, whatever you want to call it, is, seemingly forming here. And they are pretty confident. They're like, we could just pick off the other three who they see as the bigger threats in the game. Mm-hmm. We're talking Kyle, we're talking Sam, and we're talking Genevieve. My question for you, I'll start with you, Nora, is like, of this Underdog Alliance here at the water well, I'll give it to you again. Andy, Rachel, Teeny, Sue, and Caroline. Mm-hmm. Who benefits the most from this little fivesome if it continues to work together?
Well, that's tricky because I guess if we want power in like a voting block, Rachel will benefit because she needs all these people for her to stay in, because of that group, she's probably the biggest threat.
Right.
So
I agree. I wrote down Rachel,
Yeah.
which I thought was why Rachel pitched it.
Of course.
She was the one that initially said we should do this.
None of those other people are pitching much. I mean, Andy has had his moments where he's definitely trying to do some stuff more and more, and he's getting more and more screen time talking about strategy. But Rachel truly is operating on a different level than anybody else there. She's thinking about this in a different way. The rest of the people there tend to, and I'm generalizing, but they are being shepherded along, to use Genevieve's terms.
Right. I mean, Caroline, I think she might be seen as a little bit of a goat. I don't think she's a visible player.
We talked about it in the drive over. It's like the one person I can't figure out, between the edit of what we see and how strong a player we think she is compared to how they see the person out there.
Yeah,
and it's like, that's the one with Caroline. I'm like, I don't know. Do they just think she's like, whatever?
Yeah, I don't know.
She's an easy win?
It's so hard to tell how she's perceived on the rest of it. I mean, she's a positive force. She's very, very like, yay, go. I am so happy that you won this Jenga competition and whatnot, so I think she's nice to be around, but I don't know if she's perceived as the threat that I think we all agree she actually is. So.
The editors do seem to be breadcrumbing a little bit more and more in every episode, more of Caroline. And more of her mind, more of how she's thinking, and she's very forthright about what she wants to do. And as a viewer, I'm like, oh, okay, like more and more Caroline's value is rising in this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I think if she's sitting with the right people at the end, I do believe she can win and she can make her case well and all that. But it is going to be one of these cases, unless something big happens, and maybe it does. Like, I was sort of the middle player. Like, you never saw me as a threat, but you were wrong, assuming I was a goat because I was doing this all behind the strings or all behind the curtain. What am I trying to say? Behind the scenes is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Pulling the strings.
Oh, that was nearly a skeetsism.
Wow.
I guess it sort of was.
It
definitely was.
Jamming two of them together there. All right, back at the shelter. We have the Overdog Alliance, as some people are calling them. Kyle, Sam, and Genevieve, they're talking out about the other five that are at the water well and how they're probably just discussing picking us off. Kyle suddenly wants to save the biggest threats. And I wrote in my notes, like, well, why'd you get rid of Gabe?
Yeah.
What was the thinking there, bro? Genevieve then has like this interesting scene, like sort of this like come to Jesus moment or something.
Yeah.
Like she says, quote here, I would rather be a villain that people didn't connect with than the best friend who killed their dream.
Right.
So definitely struggling with like being cutthroat in this game and building bonds. And so I'm going to try and not build bonds. And I saw Dalton Ross writing in his write-up, like, could this be the thing that actually hurts Genevieve in the end? This idea that she doesn't want to make personal bonds, but that is generally necessary to win jury votes. So if she does happen to make it to the end, which it's going to be a tough sledding, I think, to get there, could do her in. It's interesting, the
Yeah.
dichotomy there.
I mean, killing the dreams of your best friend is really how you win this, ultimately.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Like, if we're really boiling this down to how to get ahead. And that's what she's done for the most part. We got the Keyshawn flashback.
Yeah. Man.
Very dramatic.
This guy's name has come up in every
I
episode.
know.
Yeah,
It's like-
pretty much.
I was like, oh, Keyshawn. But yeah, I understand that she is really wrestling with this idea of the villain energy and having emotional connections and not being able to do both at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I see myself in that moment with her. Like, I would never play this game on the island, but
Right.
if I did somehow find myself there, that would be the hardest part for me, is having these relationships and then having to turn on everybody.
Yeah. I mean, this was so frustrating for me because Genevieve's my girl.
Yeah.
She's Canadian. This is
a
kind of
river
a
pick.
Canadian trait that she's talking about. It's
Yes.
like, I cut somebody's head off and now I feel bad about it. It's like a Jedi suddenly deciding, I eviscerated that person with my lightsaber and now I'm not going to use my lightsaber or the Force for this game. But we want Genevieve to be Darth Vader. We
Yeah.
want her to go be Anakin and go and destroy all of the Sand People and all of the Jedi and be the sole survivor. That's what we want. I mean, she's already a villain. She says it later on in the episode, like, I have the stain of being a devious player, basically, is what she said. And she's admitting all of this to Tribal Council as well. It feels like she's
Oh my God, to the point where like Jeff Probst like multiple times is like, hey, you're real quiet.
Yeah.
Hey, what's wrong with you?
He
Yeah,
was
exactly.
like all over
Yeah.
her in that tribal. I was like, get off my jock, Jeff. Let me
I'm really
just
going through it right now,
be
Jeff.
here.
Yeah.
He was like, basically was like, you have resting bitch face. What's wrong with you?
Yeah. I mean, but
Oh, I don't think it was that.
He
I
was-
read it just more as like, hey, you usually are bringing it at these
He
tribal
also said,
councils,
"Is
and
your
you're like,
face displeasure or something
Yeah, I
else?"
guess
I
he
was
did
like,
say
"Bleh, Jeff, don't call me out."
I mean,
Yeah.
he might do this to everyone at every tribal council. These things are 2-3 hours long, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah,
this
yeah.
this just
Yeah.
And this was a long tribal council
It
for a very
was.
boring vote. Like,
Yeah, it was.
Let's be honest.
It's very long. Yeah.
So yeah, we were a lot of soul searching in this episode, and just again frustrating for me because I'm just like, please just use your goddamn lightsaber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also like in Survivor, it's like, okay, you have crossed over to the dark side. Tough to walk it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To then ultimately win the game. It's like you sort of got to go balls to the wall with it. I think
Right.
you're like, you got to lean into like, I'm the best. I'm diabolical. You trusted me. You were wrong. But then in the final three, like, I'm going to love you after this game. I'm Canadian. Come on. Come on up to
exactly.
Winnipeg.
So
Whatever.
much maple
like,
syrup.
But yeah, to do like the half-assed, I don't think will ever work that
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
I don't think.
No.
Well, I mean, hopefully, seeing her name on a parchment at the end of this episode,
Right.
randomly.
Yeah,
Thank
she's-
you, Andy.
Yeah.
And I think maybe hopefully she's, this is the moment, where Obi-Wan comes out. He's
Oh my
not.
gosh.
Come on, guys. Star Wars.
Keep going. You're
Yeah.
cooking, man.
Obi-Wan just sat in the desert for 20 years waiting for Luke to grow up. And then he comes back and he's got his lightsaber. He's using the Force again. That could happen.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Sam talks a little bit about being powerless since Sierra was voted out. His game is now all about telling the truth, which I really like. And then, Kyle gets a scene or two here about talking about separating his emotions from the game. And he tells us, like, he's actually a good liar and he can be manipulative. And it's
Yeah.
like...
Where was this guy a couple days ago?
No, but you didn't buy it for a second, did you?
No,
It's like,
well,
no, you don't got that in you, man.
We have they have hinted at his backstory, but Kyle, it's not Kyle, sorry. Jeff was talking about Kyle on the On Fire podcast, and he mentioned Kyle went through 26 foster homes in his youth.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy.
That is something
That's a real survivor.
No doubt. And so the resiliency that you pick up from that, I mean, yes, you do learn probably how to adapt and become more likable to all kinds of people. I think he should have tapped into that a little bit earlier if he did have that. He did try, I will say, when we do get to tribal, he did his best.
Put up a decent fight.
More than I expected.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I
Sue
mean, I
and
love,
Kyle surprised me in this
I love
episode.
Kyle,
Yeah.
but I think the Sue campaign was so strong, and his winning at all the immunities, he was just too standout.
Yeah, probably some truth to that. Really did enjoy, though, the Kyle and Andy conversation, JD, that they were having. Like, I like the conversation. I like the confessionals they were both getting, like when they were by the smoky fire there.
Yeah.
And Andy starts bragging about his position in the game. We are getting a lot of like confident Andy. a whole bunch of it. You know, it's confusing people. It's like, man, is this guy gonna win?
What is the deal, honestly? Like, because now I'm getting annoyed. Do the editors love Andy or do they hate him? Because it's just so confusing to me.
They do use his quotes a lot for episode titles, so I think he's providing content.
Yeah.
And the editors love that. He does seem like the kind of person that just sits down and talks. Like, I don't think he needs a ton of prompting.
Sure.
When they're doing their confessionals, he's just like just going.
But all of this, like, again, you know, cocky Andy here. And
Yes.
like, I mean, I started this game slowly, and now I'm like, look at me, I'm running things, and we're crunching the numbers.
Well,
like, there's a lot of it, and I wonder, is he going to be sitting at the end?
Yes.
He's going to be there.
I think there's a chance he will sit at the end and he will be a 0 vote.
I sort of think so.
That's my gut.
That's what I think too. But the edit, like, it is all of this Andy strategizing. Are we supposed to think that? I don't know. Like, because I'm feeling dote-de-dote. Like, Andy is just going off. He's saying, I'm running this game.
Yeah.
And then it's not. It's like, it's later on in the episode, it's like, it's Rachel basically wound him up and went go. You know, like, Genevieve said your name. It's like, oh, okay, now I'm going to do like my math in the sky, and I'm going to come up with this ridiculous formula of, you know, the chances of Kyle winning, all this stuff, and everybody's like, I feel like everybody's rolling their eyes, but it's not being edited that way, so it's confusing.
It's confusing.
Yeah, I think he has the Bing Bong edit, and I don't think that as much as he keeps telling us that he's making all these moves, they're not showing a ton of these moves that he thinks he's making. He has, look, day 3, things did not look good for him, and he is still there day 20, so you've got to give it to him. He has survived. Every time I have counted this guy out, he still remains. So he does have that, and he does have relationships with all these people, but I do think those relationships partially exist because he is so non-threatening.
That's
I
what
mean,
think.
People don't see him as having
That's why I think the edit's
potential.
doing this, because he's gonna be there, and they have to like
Explain
Then
it.
we can
Justify
at least
him,
we can
yeah.
at least be like, man, they might really respect all these moves he talked about and stuff. I don't know. I don't.
Yeah, like all the whole backstory of the 2 episodes ago when they're like, well, this is why Andy and Rachel are gonna work together.
Oh,
You know, even in spite of everything that happened, they're gonna work together. But yeah, I mean, day 3 Drew was on Tyson's podcast a couple of weeks ago. That's fatal. What happened to him on day 3 is fatal in the game of Survivor. It should be fatal, right? They're like, this guy's never gonna win.
Well,
Like,
it's beneficial to him just to go to the end.
exactly.
Never to win the thing.
Well, yeah, he'll go to the end,
Yeah,
but now we have to just put up with him like, ooh, I'm the silent assassin. And it's like, okay, I guess you just like you're more of the fly in the ointment. I'm the fly in the ointment. That's what he should be saying.
Okay, let's talk this out though. Who could he sit with at the end to maybe have a puncher's chance of getting enough votes?
Sue?
Like, Sue's got to be one of them.
Yeah.
And then I start to go, who the hell's the other one?
Optically,
Like, I don't think Teeny's good.
a teeny or
No, but she's likable.
yeah.
No, I'm saying that's not good for
Yeah,
Andy.
you
That's
don't
not
want
good for Andy,
Teeny.
yes.
Caroline,
Yeah.
I think Caroline is your
So
best
just Sue
bet.
and Caroline,
Sue
and then hope that
Caroline.
they like cancel each other out, and it's like.
I mean, Caroline
maybe?
would be the bigger threat versus Sue.
I think
I
Caroline
don't
would
think
win.
that I think Caroline would eviscerate him at a final
Because I don't
tribal
see
council.
Andy getting Sierra's vote. I don't see Andy
Yeah.
getting Sam's vote. That's to me. I just.
Yeah,
don't
you're
see-
right.
At Tribal, when Andy was talking later on in the episode, and I believe he said, I voted or did something to all the people sitting on the jury. Sierra is like daggers.
Oh, I
and
know.
What he did. She is going to poison that jury pool
know.
Yeah.
Feels
against
like
him.
it.
So I just don't think he has a shot at all.
Well, we will see.
Yeah.
Boat shows up. Boat shows up to take one person on a journey, but they got to decide who's going. Collectively as a group, or they'll have to draw rocks. So Sam's game to go, Genevieve's game to go. Rachel, puts her name into the hat, but she only does that because Sam and Genevieve want to go. And she's like, okay, does anybody else not want to stop them from maybe getting something? Like,
Are we all playing this game?
yeah.
Everyone else was like, I'm good. What?
And so those 3 pull rocks, and you won't believe this. Rachel pulls the purple rock.
Wow.
This woman needs to go
play
to
the
a
lottery.
casino immediately, or play the casino or the lottery.
Put your life
immediately.
savings on something.
Yeah.
She's
She
incredibly
is lucky as shit
Yeah.
in this game. It's unbelievable her run right now.
I know.
So Rachel goes. We take a commercial break. When we come back, she is taken to a barge in the middle of the ocean. So a little different type of journey here. She has a chance to earn an advantage by doing what appears to be a fairly simple puzzle or game. She has to sort all the balls into columns so the colors match. But the catch is the timer is a bunch of weights and ropes that are like thrown into the ocean, and when the spool of rope ends, it'll literally pull the table with it into the water, and then that's the end. So you got to do it before that, but you have you're looking at it going, I have no clue how fast is this thing gonna take this rope. I thought this was pretty cool.
I loved it.
Interesting. And they edited it really well.
The logistics of it was really cool conceptually. It went off, it seemingly without a hitch, in terms of it actually worked. Because I was like, what if one of these things get caught or doesn't actually trigger the next one? There's a lot of moving parts in this.
Yeah, at first when I first saw it, I was like, whoa, it's gonna pull her into the water too. I didn't realize
that's my only note. Tie it to her ankle.
Oh God.
Drown her. If you will not only lose your vote, you will drown in the bottom of the ocean if you cannot put these balls in the right columns. But she takes on the challenge. She does it. The edit tells us she does it just in time. Again, I wrote it was surprisingly fun to watch. It was really, really entertaining. And the advantage she wins is to secretly block someone's vote. She can use it up to when 6 players are left in the game. So as we then go to commercial, Jeff shows up on our screen, and he plays the keyboard and sings us a song. Oh, wait, no. Wrong
No,
video.
that was on TikTok.
That's on TikTok. No, he tells us to apply on the show. But anyway, JD, your only note was you wish she was tied to it. But did you like it overall, this journey?
I liked it. Again, I loved the weather of this episode in general, the chop of the ocean. I thought the puzzle looked pretty simple, actually.
I thought it looked really easy.
Yeah, but
Which it was, but I guess you just didn't know how long it was going to take.
Exactly. And it was very well edited, so yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
It was great.
It was better than most journeys.
I would agree.
From previous seasons.
I like a solo journey.
Okay.
Okay. Because it's kind of a lose-lose for the person, but Rachel's a perfect person for this, right? Because she's not. I don't know why nobody mentioned her name. She comes back. She says, "I lost my vote," but she tells 5 people or 4 people, I'm fine, and I got an advantage. But none of them are like, maybe we should get her out. Yeah. You know what I mean? No. And she has an idol.
Yep, that they don't know about. Yeah. Well, that is the next scene here. It's Rachel's return. She comes back. She tells 99% of the truth. Yeah. To use her words, but she does tell the entire tribe, the first go of it, hey, I lost my vote. Sam's bullshit radar going beep, beep, beep. This guy's really good at clocking things.
Great instincts.
But he's not buying it mainly because, he's like, yeah, right, you're in the middle of the ocean, and this thing's connected to the table, and you just got to put colored balls in columns.
It sounds so elaborate.
So fake.
And we've never really seen it before.
Yeah.
And she also had a really weird. So, unfortunately, I cannot participate in tribal council this evening. I'm like, all right, why don't you just say I lost my vote?
Yeah, that's true. So then Rachel, though, starts telling people the real truth. She tells Sue and Caroline she has the block a vote. Sue loves it.
Oh, in love with her
you
about
tell
it.
Sue you got something, she's in.
Yeah.
Real Adriana from The Sopranos vibes for me. It's like, Christopher gave me an idol. He told me he had an idol, so I love him.
Oh my God, I would never have made that connection.
I don't know. I'm like, who is she reminding me right now? It's like, I gotta just tell you something. I'm like, oh God. It's Adriana. What happened to Adriana? She got whacked.
Don't go to the woods.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry. I spoiled a show that came out
20 years ago.
Caroline then, in a confessional, tells us that she's happy Rachel is becoming a bigger threat / shield.
Yeah.
So again, pretty good episode, I thought, for Caroline.
Another
overall.
breadcrumb for Caroline.
Another breadcrumb. Rachel then goes and tells Teeny and Andy that she still has her vote. Don't worry. And I won advantage. And Teeny's pumped because she just likes knowing things, not left on the outside. So she's pretty pumped that Rachel is sharing this as well. So do you think Rachel made the right move to tell her Underdog Alliance, don't worry, I have a vote, and I also won this?
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Somebody was bound to not believe her. We've seen her excel in puzzles to this point in the game. And earlier we saw Sam clocking that the underdogs were working against them. These are kind of obvious things he's clocking, but I'm glad that he's saying them because a lot of other people aren't.
Yeah.
So I think she did fine.
Then we get a scene with Rachel and Genevieve down on the beach. I think they're looking for crabs.
Yeah.
I stood up. I said, "Oh, the two giants are going to go out of here." I got excited.
God.
'Cause these are one of
faves.
the two that are probably going to win the game. And Genevieve pitches an idea. Hey, look, Rachel, if Kyle wins, would you be open to voting out one of the goats being shepherded? How do you say that?
Yeah,
Shepherded.
Yeah.
It's not an easy word to say. To the final three, like Sue or Andy. Those are the two names she said. Sue or Andy. Rachel, wisely, right away. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then cut to confessional. Rachel's like, F that noise.
Absolutely not.
Are you kidding me? Genevieve, too damn good at this game. It's going to be her.
Yeah.
It's got to be her. We're not doing Kyle. So anyway, I was excited for when they were talking here. I love that Genevieve had something. I love how Rachel played it with her and then obviously told us differently. And Rachel does take that news then to Andy. He's not happy. And they agree then and there, okay, we'll target Genevieve.
Yeah, she knows how to activate Andy as well.
Rachel does.
Yes. Yeah, which doesn't take much, but
I mean, okay, in Andy's defense here, I think most people at this point in the game are going to get activated when you come to them and say somebody else is saying that, hey,
Sure.
you're either a goat or they want you gone.
yeah, but she's targeted him before.
Yes.
So, I mean, all you need to do is like turn that flame back on and he's back.
Yeah.
Right. And Rachel didn't have to include the part where Genevieve said they were being shepherded along,
It's
right?
true.
That's
what really
the
got him.
agitation. He was more annoyed about that than his name coming up.
That's a good point. I guess I was a little disappointed. I was like, I wanted them to work together.
Yeah.
You know, Genevieve and Rachel, I was like, oh my God, powerhouse here. Let's go.
Two titans in the game.
Yeah, this is Macho Man Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
The mega powers.
It could still happen, but I think
I
the
think
odds
it's coming.
are, to use the math that Andy was using, they are less than 6%.
Yeah, Genevieve has to now, still being in the game, she's got to say, it ain't me you got to worry about.
It's them.
It's Rachel.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
Rachel.
Yeah.
Right? She's got to convince them all that, but good luck. Day 20, Immunity Challenge. We get a little Matt talk here with Jeff Probst and the Castaways. A few emotional moments from Kyle.
Yes.
And then from Sue. At first you thought Sue was literally like, I can't believe this Kyle guy.
I thought she was crying about Kyle talking.
Yeah,
I was like, oh no.
But it was about herself and about still being there and her belief. And then Andy brings up the fact that there's standing in the exact same spot where he had his day 3 meltdown. So this has come up again
Right.
too. Again, what's going on with this edit with him?
It's confusing. It is shocking that he's still there.
It must just be his story at the end when he sits there and
I'm still here.
Look what I had. I had a complete meltdown on day 3 and I outlasted all of you.
Sure.
And again, I think the counter to that is we kept you around because we knew after your meltdown we knew you were never going to win. But
It's so perplexing to me that he would even bring it up. Like, I would be like, oh my God, we're back at the scene of the crime, where I basically blew my game up. And the last thing I would want to do is draw attention to it. Remember how I suck at this, guys? Yeah. It's just odd to me. And he wasn't even called upon. He was like, Jeff, I just feel like I have to just point out here that this is where I had my meltdown and I threw John Lovett under the bus. And, I don't know. It just seems like a weird strategy.
Yeah, he's almost forgotten the part where he has the actual meltdown is what he was saying.
Right.
After the exhaustion.
Yeah.
But it's almost like he just keeps talking about that part to me.
Right.
It's like, I gave it my all. I was dead to the world. You can see my chalk line there. It's right there, Jeff. But it's like, that part, we've seen that.
Sure.
We get that part, man. It's like what you just sort of went crazy after and what you said and spilled the beans to the other tribes and all that. That was the weird thing.
In the beginning of the season, when Jeff was doing all the press, he said, people always ask him, is there one thing you could say that would describe this season or one theme? He kept talking about self-awareness or lack thereof. And when we were first watching the show, I assumed, he's talking about Rome. Because Rome was pretty self-aware. But as this show has clocked on, I really do think it's Andy that he meant, what his reference was.
Or especially in comparison to people like Genevieve, to people like maybe Rachel, Caroline, Teeny even maybe.
I think Andy's lack of self-awareness is what's actually being shown, not necessarily him, the bragging and above all his gameplay. It's like there isn't really a ton of that we have seen as viewers, but he keeps talking about it. And it's not there.
Yeah. I mean, he could be in for a rude awakening in the final 3.
I'm a little worried for him. I don't know how he'll handle that, but we'll see how it goes. A lot can happen. There's still a lot of Survivor left. Yeah.
Maybe he wins one of the final immunities,
like,
and then he
who
puts
knows?
himself in fire making. Like,
Who knows?
It's like he's got to do stuff like that, in my opinion, to win. But Willie, in this classic challenge, the players have to stack letter tiles on the wobbly table there. Doing the old rope there and back. This was like jarring, this challenge, because like we jumped very quickly.
Yeah.
To what felt like the end of the challenge. It was Sam, it was Genevieve, and Rachel. They're all racing for their 8th block. They're spelling immunity there with the blocks, but then all 3 drop. And I was like, okay, that makes a lot more sense. Like, we went really quickly to that.
Yeah.
And then suddenly Kyle and Teeny are in the lead. And then Kyle drops, and Teeny gets to her 7th block, and then she goes down. And then it's Sue and Andy are in the lead for a little bit. They both drop. It's basically then like cue up the montage of everybody dropping. And then we get back to a battle between what appears to be Genevieve and Rachel, and then Genevieve drops. So Rachel's in the lead, and she is taking her sweet-ass time.
Yeah.
She is going extremely slow. And Kyle is like trying to get back into it. He gets his final block on the table. The race is on. I mean, it's the slowest race you've ever seen. But Rachel obviously is ahead and just takes those little steps back, gets that one up on the table, and gets the second one up. Rachel wins.
Yeah.
And I popped.
You did.
I popped. I yelled out, "My queen!"
You did.
This is my pick to win this game, and I've never correctly called it right.
I sometimes wish we should live stream us
yeah.
watching it.
We should.
The 2 things that I remember during this were there was a moment where Jeff was yapping during this challenge a lot. He was doing a lot of narration, but there was a moment where Andy was in the lead. And the camera cuts to Andy, and he's like close to finishing. And Jeff goes, "We have a new leader. It's Andy." And the whole thing drops. And I was like, oh my God, the editors are cooking him. This is brutal. And then, yes, when Rachel did end up winning, very slowly backing up. And then you did really react to that. I was pumped
she gave credit to her husband, I guess, right?
Yeah,
She's saying
sweet.
like, "I am really impatient as a person. This is a bad challenge for me," but I tried to channel him saying, "Slow down, slow down, slow and steady literally wins this race."
Very self-aware.
Very self-aware.
Great challenge. I love this challenge.
You do love this one.
Oh, yeah.
I saw some blowback on Twitter, like people I think maybe tiring of this challenge, but I'm with you.
Talking about, I was on the edge of my seat, like,
Yeah,
and that's the
man.
thing.
Like
it as it gets higher, everybody collapses. It's great, and then just the final. Maybe it was just the way it worked out this time with Kyle. Like, looked like he was actually could pass her. Yeah, it was great. It was great.
Felt like Probst wanted Kyle to win.
He did.
Tell you that.
I think so.
I'm so happy Kyle didn't win because he would have had his fifth. I put that in air quotes. Immunity necklace, immunity win, and he would have tied a lot of legends, or a lot of people. But it would have been the whole time like, but it wasn't really 5.
It's not 5. Yeah,
But did
exactly.
you?
It was like 4.5.
It's just like Max Verstappen winning against Lewis Hamilton.
Oh,
They'll always be up in the air.
I was so happy he actually didn't win for that reason alone. And Rachel won. So let's get to plotting and scheming. Rachel tells us how Kyle is an easy vote, but that's usually when it's a great time to blindside someone else. Sue then asks whether anybody else thinks Kyle has an idol. That comes up for the first time. Everybody's pretty skeptical.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Doubt it.
No. Teeny tells everyone in the shelter, including Sam and Genevieve, hey, look, we vote Kyle. Let's get Kyle out. Her thinking's pretty straightforward. It's just like it gives everyone a better chance to win immunity moving forward because he has won a lot of these. He is really good at all this stuff. And like it really maybe evens the playing field. Genevieve and Sam tell Teeny that they're like in mourning because, of the numbers, it's looking bad for them.
Yeah.
Even if it's Kyle, they're in a tough spot. So Sam asked Teeny if she would vote for someone else besides Kyle, and she straight up goes, "I'm not doing that."
I don't want to hear that.
Yeah, I do not want to hear that. We're not doing it.
Yeah.
I'd appreciate if you didn't do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. What else do you say to that? It's
Sure.
like, all right, Teeny.
I thought we were playing a game here.
Yeah, exactly.
But she's got her target here.
Yeah.
Andy then asks Kyle if he has an idol. I guess this is when they're both in the hammocks there.
Yeah.
And Kyle says no, I don't. And Andy right away is like, wow, you're in trouble. You're in trouble, my guy.
Yeah.
I did write in my notes because we had this discussion last week with
Yes.
Trey. I was like, this I think is a good example of why the shot in the dark is a good game addition to Survivor. This idea of like, you gotta be a little bit more secretive. Now, for the most part, I think they tried to still keep it like up in the air. Maybe. I mean, the guy hugged everybody on his way out. Like, maybe he really knew it was going. Yeah. But that's why I like the shot in the dark. You got to like try and still blindside people. But anyway, Andy then tells Kyle, he tells us as well, that he would prefer to vote out Genevieve. So here's where the edit is setting up, right? And Andy decides, my time to cook. I'm going to take this plan to the Underdog Alliance. We should not go for Kyle. We should vote out Genevieve. Take a look at the data. Quote, this is Andy talking to his new alliance here. When Kyle plays the field, he's 2 out of 4. The likelihood he's going to win the next 4 immunities is a 6.25% chance. It's not that risky. It's a calculated risk. I will say that Caroline immediately takes his paper and grades it an F. Or, rips it up.
She rips it in half.
No.
And a great use of the word baloney.
Baloney, yes. Yeah, she wrote that on the paper in a big red marker. Great. But then, Andy, he gave the real pitch.
Yes, he should have started.
He should have started with this, which is Kyle is a one-dimensional player.
Yes.
He's going to sit in the shelter. He's going to make fire. He's going to talk about Shania, who I assume is his wife and not Shania Twain.
I mean, I want it to be Shania Twain.
It'd be awesome if he's been talking about Shania Twain.
Maybe Sue hates Shania Twain and she's sick of hearing about it.
Yeah, maybe. And then, Andy's like, his run is overrated. He's basically like bringing up the fact that we've talked about for weeks here on No Buffs of like, okay, win all these necklaces, man. It ain't going to matter. No one really cares that much in the end.
Sure.
Which Jeff Probst actually brings up at Tribal Council, the idea of, people that go and win all these immunity necklaces, they don't just go on to win the game. It's not like a given they win. So, anyway, this was hilarious. And I know people are actually doing a better job of maybe figuring out the formula and the chances of Kyle moving forward. It's not 6.25%. Even I knew that.
Yeah.
And I'm a dummy.
Yeah.
But
well, yeah. And again, like you said, he should have led with the idea that only winning immunities is not enough merit to win this game. It's a very one-dimensional offering to the jury. And Genevieve is a much bigger threat. Now, I love Genevieve. I want her to stay.
Yeah.
But if I'm there playing against her, I would want her out of there. Yeah. She's a much scarier adversary.
Yeah.
To me.
I mean, I agree. But then just seeing the reaction from the jury when he leaves, that guy's a hero.
They love him.
Like, and he does have his story. The 26 foster homes comes into play.
He's got a great story. You have to give him that.
And it seems to be a nice guy. I mean, all the rumor that Rome started notwithstanding, and we don't know what was said and all this crap. But,
well, did you notice, JD, that when at the vote, Sue wrote on her thing, Tweedledee.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was the
must
thing,
be that.
which is so innocuous.
But she hated him before that.
Yes.
That wasn't even true, was it? I mean,
we never saw
him say it, but was it Rachel that said he calls you guys Tweedledum and Tweedledee?
Yeah.
She was like, he called me Tweedledee. Okay, so
LOL.
As a 45-year-old woman would. Mix that up. But anyways, I got into a heated argument with my Rachel this morning about whether or not Kyle could win. I'm like, it doesn't matter if he won 5, 6 immunities. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in today's game. She's like, oh, he's likable and he's got a good story. And I'm like, you're right. Yeah. And that jury was like, they're like,
that's true.
It depends on who he's sitting against.
Yeah, that's
obviously.
If it's Rachel or Genevieve, I don't think he has a chance.
Sue Caroline, he has a chance.
Yeah.
Sue Andy, he has a chance.
Yeah, probably. But it's not looking good for our guy Kyle here. As we go to the final commercial break, they're setting it up. Is it Kyle or is it Genevieve? So we go to Tribal Council. It's night 20. I wrote in my notes here, look, I hate to say it, but Saul went from the hottest jury member to the oddest. Hottest to the oddest.
It was such a bummer.
He kept the vest, put a weird shirt under it. I think it was the same vest.
I think it's the same. Why would he have 2 brown vests?
Yeah.
Like,
Why is anything? Why is he
You're
wearing blue shoes and yellow pants?
And then the tight yellow pants, and they got him up on the top of the riser too, and it's not looking
it
comfortable.
was unfortunate for sure.
Yeah.
You know, like at housewife reunions, they make a big point about you have to find a look that looks good when you sit, because you sit during the
sit.
reunion.
Wow.
And obviously, they cut to you while you're sitting, so
Yeah.
you have to have a sitting dress.
Oh, interesting.
Saul needed a sitting outfit,
Yeah.
and that was not it.
No.
I still have faith in him that he can bring sexy back.
Bounce back.
Next week, we'll see.
Yeah. The 3 of them had some unique looks.
They did look like they
Sierra
were
had
going to
more of
different
like
events.
or like Jersey hair, like big hair going
Yeah.
on.
Gabe looked
Gabe
cool.
looked like from the West Coast.
Yeah, he was
though.
giving West Coast
From
vibes
Baltimore.
for sure.
So, anyway, Kyle, to get to actual tribal council, Kyle pitches the reason why he should stay. And he is like, I suck at the social and strategic parts of this game. And I'm with you. I thought he was trying.
Yeah.
Making a hell of a case. Like, I'm just not that good at this game. So what? I'm good at these little weird games, but that's not enough to maybe get the $1 million.
Sure.
Maybe you want me there. Andy tells the jury he lied to all their faces. He really does not do much sugarcoating at all. And Sierra does react to that.
Strongly.
She did not like what he said.
Daggers.
And he has done this a couple times with the jury. Just straight up like, you guys suck over there.
I put you there. You want to see a formula for it?
Yeah. Lots of talk about what kind of threat is the most dangerous. So, yeah, again, a physical player, a strategic mastermind, stuff like that. Genevieve has a great line here. Once you get the stamp of threat, it's very tough to wash off.
She's full of them. So many one-liners.
Yeah, so many one-liners that literally she's being quoted from previous tribal councils because, you know, Probst does bring up the whole thing with Genevieve, like, you're being really quiet here. Like, what's going on? He does it a couple times. And then Caroline's like, I'd like to share one of my favorite Survivor quotes, which is, the great Survivor players can see through the noise to see the news. Bars.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And even Jeff's like, that is a hell of a line.
Yeah.
Who said that? Who said that? Must have been a man that I loved from a previous season. Actually, it was Genevieve.
Yeah.
You know, a couple tribal councils ago or
She
whatever
should,
it was.
like, I know she's a lawyer, but she should really start a cult.
Yeah, she'd be a good cult
She
leader.
has
I believe that.
Big
yeah.
leadership energy, and she's an excellent orator, and they just flow out of her.
Yeah.
I would follow her and
Me
wear
too.
like a weird outfit.
I'm already in the Genevieve.
Yeah, I was gonna say, JD, you're it.
You were like
Yeah.
the first person in.
You were an early adopter.
I know. You know, and Caroline saying that was great, and I think it was sincere, but Genevieve is still in the fog of war, man, and she's like, you're voting for me tonight, and you're quoting me back to me. Like, it was just like, thank you for that.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, but
Yeah. And also, it's like, oh my God, even more attention on me and how
Right.
good a player I am, how great I
yeah,
am.
thanks a lot.
So we get to the vote. It's pretty straightforward in the end. It's Kyle gets, I guess, 6 of the votes. Genevieve gets 1 from Andy.
Yeah.
So he stayed true to that part. You know, did he maybe curry some favor from Kyle? He's sitting there on the jury if Andy's there at the end. We'll see. And then Teeny gets 1 from Kyle.
Yeah, what's going on there?
Yeah, I mean, Kyle proving his point that he doesn't maybe really know what's going on. Like, why did he do that?
Weird move.
Well, I mean, Teeny was like, I'm voting for Kyle. You guys can go F yourselves. Maybe he caught wind of that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
she
but-
was,
So you think then Kyle knew he was going home?
yeah.
And it's
I
just
think
was
so.
like, okay. Because otherwise, why? I mean, if there's
Yeah.
any at least debate of like, well, there are some people talking about Genevieve.
Yeah, I
you
mean-
should probably put your vote on
Yeah,
Genevieve.
exactly.
Yeah, he probably knew he was going home, especially once the shot in the darks were taken out.
Yeah.
I do believe that. So he gets up and he hugs everybody.
Everyone gets
He
it.
literally is like, line up. I'm hugging y'all.
It was a receiving line, like at
It's
our wedding.
amazing. Good, strong hugs for everybody. Goes down the line. Then he, gets his torch, gets over there to get it snuffed. He tells Probst before his torch is even snuffed, I'm hugging you next. We're hugging. I wish it went. I wish they broke the fourth wall. I wish he was like hugging boom operators, cameramen,
Yeah,
producers.
producers.
Kyle is the kind of
That
guy
would
to
have been
hug a boom
so fun. The
operator.
jury of court, like, that would have been so funny if he just
Yeah.
kept going. And I did see this tweet from Sarah Little right before we went live here that I liked. She tweeted, usually I prefer castaways take the scorched earth route after they get voted out, but Kyle's goodbye was so effing heartwarming. I'll allow it just this once.
Yeah.
So did you enjoyed it?
I did. I mean, it fits his personality. I don't think we've really ever seen him angry on the island, really.
Really?
Has he been activated in the 20 days he's been there? Even when he's going home, he's not running around like a chicken with his head cut off, freaking out about it. He's like at peace with it. He got his hug out of Jeff, and Jeff was like very warm with
Got
him.
his hug out of Jeff. He got his hug out of Sue.
Yeah,
I thought that one was the real.
Yeah. But
Impressive one.
I really do think he'll be back. I think Jeff really likes him. He likes his story. He just thinks he's great TV as well, I think. People really seem to like him.
It's a funny quote. He's got just a unique voice.
Yeah.
Weird way to say things.
Yeah.
Buck 20 is now in the nomenclature for
Yeah,
Survivor.
Buck 20 for
You're
sure.
right. You're right.
It reminded me, this is a very niche reference, but when he was always saying Buck 20, even when because he like explained it right at the end. He's like, you give 100% for yourself, but when you got a family, you give 120%.
Sure.
Right? Is that basically what he said?
That's what he
a
said.
little
yeah.
extra.
Which, Andy should have piped up and been like, impossible, 120%. But it reminds me of Wesley Two Scoops Berry, which was a contestant on American Gladiators back in the day.
Okay.
He was a black guy that like, was
Okay,
really,
buddy.
like, he was actually probably comparable to Kyle. He was like incredible athlete
Okay.
and won a couple times, I think, and went to the champions round. Anyway, his whole thing was as he advanced in American Gladiators, he would always say, he would like up his percentage of the effort he was going to give.
I see.
So like he started at 100%, and like by the end of his like American Gladiator run, he was like at like 9,000%.
Okay, it just keeps going.
Yeah. So for some reason, that has always stuck with me. Wesley Two Scoops Berry in this percentage. So maybe that's Kyle now. Buck 20. Yeah.
Buck 20.
So do you agree with Nora that we could see a Kyle again in maybe a fans versus favorites or some sort of iteration like that?
I've had my fill of Kyle, to be honest. So, I mean, I hear what you're saying, and Jeff is like, now he's all about the celebration of the game and guys who can balance on things and hold things. It's like, okay, it's cool, I guess.
I mean, he should be like on the challenge or something like
Yeah,
that.
for
Sure.
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Kyle. I found his exit kind of cringe, but I'm dead inside. I don't need to be told about, giving 120% for my family. It's like, yeah, we all do. That's a given, Kyle. That's a given. But yeah, I mean, again, I like him.
You wouldn't be going to bat for him to return, but whatever. If he's
he
there,
wouldn't
he's
be
there.
on my top 100, I don't think.
I also like wonder. Well, I don't know. Would he want to play again?
Yeah.
On one hand, I feel like it's money, and you do that for your like that seems like a given. But part of me is like maybe he's like, no, I had my fill of it.
Yeah.
It was fun, but I don't want to do it again. I have no clue. I don't know. I guess he hasn't done his exit interviews yet because of Thanksgiving. So that'll come out next week. So maybe we'll find out the answer to that. All right. Well, that is the episode. Lots more still to talk about here, and we will do it in Tree Mail. Tree Mail. Doug, always coming through with great questions. Once again, Doug gets 2 Qs in here because I like the way Doug thinks. First one from Doug. Which of the 2 remaining Overdogs, Sam and Genevieve, would you say has the better chance of making it past the top 6? Which of the 5 underdogs could you see being targeted first by the rest of that group? So they sort of go hand in hand here. What do you think of Doug's question?
I mean, we've talked at length about how Genevieve is a big threat here. I do think Sam is still in the mix. We said earlier he has great instincts, so I still think he has a lot of potential to move forward, and he's perceived to be much less of a threat than Genevieve.
Yep.
So I would say Sam between the 2 of them.
I would agree on that, JD.
Yeah, I think I could agree.
I could see Sam winning a challenge here too.
Yeah.
It depends on what it is.
His game has quieted significantly,
Yeah.
but there's still potential there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he's playing on. They're both on the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Like I said before, Genevieve's she's not using her full powers. She's just not using them.
Okay, well, that's the second part of the question. If she can use those powers again, she would have Sam in theory with her.
Yeah.
So who are the other people? Who should she target, I guess, within that Underdog Alliance? What is the move? What's Genevieve's move here, JD?
I mean, you got to get rid of Sue. She's got an idol. I mean, they don't know about the idol. And I don't even know if they know about Caroline and Sue working so closely together. But one of them has to go. I guess Sue or Caroline. Probably Caroline because she's actually the bigger threat. But yeah, I would say you got to get rid of one of the two.
And what's the convincing? Some sort of like, I think to Caroline, you can't be there with Sue.
Yeah.
You guys are been joined at the hip since day one.
Yeah.
Right. That's
They're
not going to
gonna-
work
they're gonna-
because Caroline's going to be like, "Are you crazy? She hasn't done anything."
Yeah.
I know. I'm just trying to spitball here.
I mean, I think
what do you do?
Rachel is the biggest threat among those quote unquote underdogs.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they've got cooking up. We'll talk about next time on Survivor later on, but they're clearly up to something. It would make sense to target the biggest threat and then chip away at the rest, but that's a huge move. And we know Rachel has an arsenal of stuff to protect her. So
block a vote and the idol.
Yeah.
This is the thing. The
They don't
Underdog
know.
Alliance has all the power.
Exactly.
They got all the
Yeah.
power plays here with
Yeah.
the 2 idols within that group and now the block a vote.
Yeah.
And I have to be honest, it does feel beneficial for all 5 of those people in the Underdog Alliance to run with it.
yeah.
Like, because, like, the only thing I could think of for Sam and Genevieve is, like, Sam, you got to go get Andy back.
Yes.
You got to get him.
Mm-hmm.
And Genevieve, you got to go get Teeny back. You got to get her. So it's like, I don't
It
think
does
it's realistic,
feel
but
like
that's the move, isn't it?
Scorched earth between Teeny and Genevieve.
Yeah. I
Right
agree.
now,
Yeah.
the way they were presenting it, I mean, Teeny seems pretty hurt. She mentioned the betrayal in this episode again about Genevieve, so I don't know if there's anything there. To me, Caroline is a better avenue for Genevieve, especially this little moment they had at Tribal where Caroline's quoting her.
Yeah.
Maybe leverage that little opening, that little crack, and see
It
if you can
feels like
push that
Caroline
open.
is like Rachel, knowing that Genevieve is the boss here.
Yeah, but she's also like, I'm okay hanging around with the threats because they're bigger
Yeah,
threats
true,
than I.
true.
So we'll see.
I mean, you're starting to run out of time keeping
Yeah,
threats
no,
hanging
for
around.
sure.
All right, Daniil writes, CBS really planned it out so the episode airing right before Thanksgiving is the one that ends with Kyle giving thanks. No notes. I just wanted to include that. It was perfectly timed
It
for
was.
like a heartwarming vote out.
Yeah.
Like the opposite of the scorched earth.
Right.
You got all these people traveling home for Thanksgiving. I'm sure, you get tired of talking to the fam. You're going to throw it on.
Yeah.
Survivor maybe. And you get this really down to earth guy just giving hugs out.
How awkward is the reunion going to be with him and Sue? You think they're going to show that mega mix of Sue hating Kyle?
Kill this guy.
Yeah, okay, he's always talking about he's poor. I'm like, whoa,
Yeah.
Sue, pull it back.
Relax.
Jeez.
Next one, Zachary with the question: do you think Andy is being set up for the ultimate turnaround from episode 1 or the ultimate fall based on his recent run of cocky confessionals? We have talked a lot about this already on this episode and previous No Buffs. I know we're confused, but it feels like we all agree that it's more likely the latter.
Yeah.
That he's
Yeah.
being set up to be the fall guy in the end game.
It does feel like that. Again, I always assume Andy's overconfidence is going to come back and bite him somehow, and he's not been bitten, really. He's still there. So, yeah, to me, he's being set up as somebody that is going to go far, but not actually receive votes or have a chance at winning. But a lot can happen.
It would be the longest Bing Bong edit of all time.
Truly.
I
Be a
mean,
long Bing
literally
Bong.
the entire season has been this.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, I would.
Be unique in a way.
It would be pretty unique.
Gentleman Oaf writes in, was Sue hanging Blair Witch-style totems in the tree?
I didn't notice
I didn't notice
I
this
missed
either.
this.
I will go back and look.
Yeah. I wasn't alone. I was like, what? I didn't have that in my note. Anyway, the question is, why has no one ever played a spooky strategy? Try and be spooky. Scare others. How would you enact a spooky strategy, and could it win? JD, do you believe in the spooky strategy?
I don't. And the reason is there's too many cameras and crew around, right? Like, if they were actually alone on the island, you could
Be a little more
be a little
sneaky and
more
spooky.
sneaky and spooky and, hang, whatever,
Right.
like dream catchers or whatever around. Not that they are spooky, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But there's just too many people around. It's like when Rachel is on the barge, it feels like she's alone, but there's
It's like-
20 people
Yeah,
on there,
so many people.
plus boats all around. It's
Yeah,
just
people
like
in the water probably. in case
yeah,
something goes
exactly.
wrong,
Safety
yeah.
divers and
Yeah.
all that. So it would be very difficult to do a spooky game. But I love the idea. I love the
Spooky
idea of
Survivor.
messing with people.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a whole theme right there, maybe.
I mean, I love a spooky, witchy vibe, I bet it'd be hard to do when you're hungry and cranky. Like you're not
that
thinking
too,
creatively, but like two easy things I thought of were, and all my references come from pop culture.
Okay,
So
go ahead.
Carcosa. Shout out to True Detective.
Start painting those
Spaghetti
weird
monster.
spirals.
I would leave some spirals, maybe make them out of twigs. You can make them out of rocks. Oh, where did this come from?
Right.
That's weird. What does it mean? And then my other thought was inspired by Sue's filthy face.
Yeah.
You cover your face in soot and then like leave a face print on like someone's clothing and then go clean it off.
Oh, interesting.
And then it's like, ooh, they've been marked. What does it mean?
Oh, okay.
I like that.
Okay, spooky. All right here. I mean, the truth is, Probst and Survivor, they've tried to do spooky in previous seasons. I think of Ghost Island.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, a little spooky vibe to
Yeah.
that, I guess, you know. And remember the season or two where Jeff just kept saying the monster? The
Yeah.
monster, the monster, the monster in the
yeah.
jungle. I mean,
Very
sort of
lost energy,
but,
yeah.
I mean, he was trying to spook it up.
What did
That
the
didn't
monster
really-
end up being? I can't remember.
Yourself.
I mean,
Fighting the monster within.
yeah.
Somebody tell us in the chat. I don't know. What was the monster? The monster is Saul's yellow pants. The monster in Saul's yellow tight pants.
They were pretty tight.
They were very tight. All right, final one from Doug here. In honor of the holiday, a couple of Thanksgiving-themed questions. We got two of them here. First off, which player are you most thankful for this season? Let's answer that one first.
This question might shock you. Sorry, this answer might shock you.
Okay.
I was thinking about this. This episode, on the whole, was a more kind of somber one, right? And I feel like I'm missing a little bit of the wackiness.
There
we
was
had.
very little like goofiness in this one,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
the silly fun scene.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have a lot to pick from for our intro here. I usually pull from those wacky
Right.
Right.
scenes, but yeah, you're right.
No burping, no farting.
Yeah, there was no
Yeah.
eating in general.
No eating.
Yeah.
So, hot take.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for Rome.
Wow.
Because
There we go.
Hey.
he provided so much content while he was on the show. It was, I truly did not know what was going to happen with him. He did take it to a place that was a bit weird sometimes, but overall, I will say I'm thankful for Rome.
Okay. That's a good one. He did carry
Yeah.
a couple episodes
So
early
much.
on. Yep.
Yeah, he did. He took up a lot of air,
Yeah.
but that was fine.
Yep.
I agree with you 100%. Put
You
me
had to
down.
pick somebody else. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll put me down for Teeny. Another swerve.
Okay.
Just you know, she's getting angrier and angrier every episode, and that's fine. Like she's playing emotionally. She's not really playing the game. It feels like she's just mad all the time.
Right.
But she does still have a sparkle in her eye, and she seems genuinely happy to be there and stuff.
Yep.
And she lights up the screen every time she's on there. So.
I said the same thing to
You
Nora last
did.
night.
She's a star.
What did you compared her to something?
She's a cherub.
She's
Yeah.
a cherub. Yeah.
She's so sweet. Like
Yeah.
her face is like
Yeah.
so pretty and cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And her energy is just like that. So I mean, I could see Teeny on other reality shows. Maybe this is the
totally.
start of a burgeoning career.
There you
Yeah.
go. There you go. Okay. I love those answers. I'm gonna go. I'm thankful for Rachel, because I do believe she's gonna have the move of the season when she drops the bombshell that she has the idol.
Yeah.
Like, I hope they actually put votes on her. I hope
Yeah.
she almost encouraged it, whatever. And I can't wait. And she's just been really good, and obviously has all this power right now. And then, which player would you invite over for Thanksgiving dinner?
Well, his time on Survivor was very short and sweet. So I would say John Lovett would
What are you, Tass
be
Mellis?
a tremendous dinner guest. Do you not think?
Oh my God, yeah.
He would
Yes,
have
if
stories.
you want to
and-
talk about politics the whole night.
Well, I do.
dangerous, but
I do.
you do. Yeah.
I do. I just think he's. I feel bad that he didn't get enough time on the show. I thought he would have been incredible. While he was on the show, he was pretty great. So many one-liners. And I think he'd just be a lovely dinner guest. And I'd be curious to see what he would bring as his potluck.
Okay.
What do
yeah.
you think John Lovett's cooking up?
I have no clue.
Yeah. I feel like a veggie side.
Okay.
Is he a vegetarian?
No, I just feel like he has veggie side energy. I feel like he's bringing like a green bean casserole
Yeah.
or like a sweet potato of some kind.
Okay.
Okay, I
And
can see
JD,
that.
who are you inviting over?
I love that answer. I'd love to have John Lovett
Okay.
over. You know, God, I would have Teeny over for sure.
Yeah, Teeny, like, she looks like, at least from what we've seen, she likes to put the booze back.
Oh yeah.
That's
wine
true.
would be flowing.
Yeah.
Teeny would be fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, what about Sam? He'd be like, every food he tries.
Never had
Everything
this.
is new.
It's like,
Yeah.
this is new?
This is great.
What is this, a bacon wrapped date?
Excuse me?
What is this?
Yeah.
Candied yam? What the hell is this?
Sam would be blown away by all the food I'm offering.
God.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
that'd be just funny.
Yes.
Whether or not he'd like them is the
Yeah.
other question. Anyway, okay.
And, yeah, you know, Genevieve, just give her a treat because it's Thursday for her. It's just a regular
That's
Thursday.
true. Yeah,
Yeah.
come on down.
Yeah, come on down.
Come on down.
It's Thanksgiving.
Get 2 of them. All right, great questions, guys, as always. As for Make Your Picks, I don't have a lot of notes from Chris at Make Your Picks. Chris actually thought this was a boring episode.
Compared to what we've had.
Yeah.
Last week was so sexy.
Yeah,
It was slow.
it was slower.
It was slower.
I liked it.
I did like it too. Yeah. But I don't disagree with them. Anyway, I successfully, for the second straight week, called the right person going home.
Wow.
I did put votes on Kyle. I actually had Genevieve as my
Backup?
second vote. Yeah, played the
Wow.
advantage, did
Yeah.
that. So I was feeling good going into the final commercial break.
Okay.
Right.
I'm up to 270.
Wow.
Wow.
in our-
Rachel, she jumped up. I think she was 300. She's now 111.
Whoa.
She doubled her
Wow.
points
On
on
Kyle?
Kyle to leave.
Woo!
And
Damn.
also she doubled her points on Rachel. So she got
jeez.
the advantage. She
Damn.
got all that stuff.
Okay,
So
that'll do
Okay,
it.
massive
Rachel,
jump. So
I see you.
there's like 13 days left to play your advantages, and that's how you jump up
How you
on the
jump.
rankings.
You
You
gotta
gotta
play 'em.
use them.
Gotta play them.
Incredible.
3 episodes left, guys. Episode 12 is oddly titled Operation Italy.
I saw that. What does it mean?
What the hell does that mean?
Boot.
The boot?
That's good.
Yeah.
That's really,
really
good,
good
JD.
guess.
Yeah, who we booting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shape
I was
of Italy.
thinking
That's great. Yeah.
More mafia hit energy.
Okay.
It's funny
Wow.
you say Sopranos
Could be.
earlier.
I was trying to figure out, like, is there anyone that's Italian out there with Italian roots? I don't know.
I can't think of anybody
Oh,
right
it's
now.
got to be Boot.
It's got to be boot.
It's got to be a boot.
Oh, that's good. And so who's saying it? Is Andy saying it again?
I mean, Andy has been the title for a lot of these. They've
know.
quoted him. He was the quote for this one, wasn't he?
What was the title of this episode?
Flip-
This was Flipping the Wind
Switch.
Switch, which I think is a very clunky
And
title,
last
if
week
I'm
was
being honest.
Loyal to the Soil, which was Andy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Andy did this one too?
I thought so.
He said
I
that?
missed it
Yeah.
whenever he said it.
No, I
pretty sure
agree.
he
You're
said
probably
it.
right. Operation Italy. Who's most likely to put it that way?
I love it.
That's like, does Andy?
I feel like, well, I do think it's either Genevieve, Andy, or Sam. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
between those 3, I would say
Because like
Andy.
we do see in the preview that maybe they're like
They're cooking.
maybe they're working together. The preview has it starts with these 3 lines: "Who needs men? We are going to be the final 4 women and girl power." And this is sort of all over a shot of Caroline, Sue, Teeny, and Rachel carrying a giant piece of driftwood back up to the camp. It appears.
Typically, when you start hearing women, girl power, it's like a woman is going home.
Yeah, I know.
So, we'll
But,
see.
They're tight. They're tight. Genevieve appears to be making a fake immunity necklace.
Love
Great.
It. I
She's
love it.
crafting JD.
I love it.
She's back in the game, baby.
And I know we talked about this a long time ago. Remember, there was talk. Sam has what appears to be a fake immunity necklace. I don't know
Somewhere.
if this is combined at all.
Right.
Are these his little trinkets? Is he like? What are they gonna do?
I mean, I love a crafting moment of any kind, so
Yeah.
I love seeing it on Survivor.
Then Sam tells us Andy is the straw that stirs the drink. Mm-hmm. And the final scene is, I don't know, Genevieve, Sam, and Andy apparently cooking up something. And Andy says something about a heist.
Oh, you know what
Operation Italy.
I just thought of The Italian Job.
Okay.
Isn't that a heist movie?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, go on. Anything else?
I don't know. That's it. That's all I got. I just my brain just went
so
The
man,
Italian
it's
Job.
like you almost got to bet on Andy saying this again. Operation
Maybe.
Italy.
I guess. Italian Job. Mini Coopers.
Oh, are we bringing
Yeah.
back the car challenge?
Oh, that'd be great.
Oh,
Are they going to do a family thing?
No, they don't.
They
do
just don't
do it anymore?
This is another reason
We
why
want-
we
we
gotta
want-
go back to 39
yeah. We want
days.
families back out
I
there.
wanna
We want
cry.
the curse of the car challenge. You know that?
I don't
That, like,
think so.
They used to obviously have like
Oh, you could win a car.
you could win a
Yeah.
car, and
Yes,
whoever won
you
the
never
car
won.
never won the game.
Yes, I know
Just
this.
a
I
great
know
little
this.
weird Survivor thing.
Yeah.
Did Boston Rob win an Aztec? Like a Pontiac Aztec? Was it Boston Rob? Somebody won that.
Yeah, I mean Pontiac Aztec has definitely been one of
Yeah.
the cars. I know that. I don't know who actually won it.
Yeah, I can't
Those
remember.
were the
Anyway.
days.
Those were
Didn't
the
Dreams, I think, won the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he said he was going to give the car to somebody, and then he reneged on that.
Yeah, to Yao Man.
Yeah.
Or like they had some sort of agreement. Yeah.
Oh no.
So anyway, that's next time on Survivor. There are 3 episodes left, which means there are 3 episodes left of No Buffs. If you enjoyed today's show, if you enjoyed the podcast, hit the like button, subscribe on YouTube, and if you haven't already, please leave us a 5-star rating and review. That would be really appreciative if you could do that. Help us in the rankings. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone here.
Yes.
In the States. We got to get going. We got to get to cooking.
I have a schedule.
You told me I'm doing some...
You're mandolining.
I'm the mandolin.
You're the Mandalorian.
Oh, great. Can't wait to lose my finger.
You're going to lose a finger.
Don't you have a glove?
We don't have a
We
glove.
don't, but there's a guard. You'll be fine. I'll coach you through it. Everything else is basically prepped.
Okay.
So
we are making, you've made bacon wrap dates.
Bacon wrap dates.
Biggest hit.
It's a huge hit.
So,
if you want the recipe, I will give it to you to share.
It's like gone instantly.
Yeah.
When it's put out.
They're
Because they're like
delicious.
candy.
Yeah.
They're so good.
And then I've made a dessert, which is an icebox cake, which is one of
Yes,
I Will
yes.
Not Eat Oysters, Danny's recipes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Great.
I've had that many times.
It's very
delicious.
good. And then we'll make potatoes au gratin when we
Okay.
get home.
Oh, yes. Also known as scalloped potatoes.
Also known
Well, I
as,
guess
it's
they're a little
similar.
different.
It's not quite the
Yeah.
same. We don't need to get into the weeds.
JD, you got any cooking to do here? Or are you just cooking up classics?
Cooking up classics, cooking up a kale salad. We were asked to bring
Honestly,
a kale
someone
salad.
has to.
Someone's got to bring
had
something
to.
green.
Well, Rachel was in the kitchen all day yesterday cooking up this thing. It was like
A
roasted.
kale salad?
Yeah,
Oh,
like
it's
roasted
like a
little
harvest
pieces
salad.
of sweet potato and stuff. I don't know what's in it.
Yummy.
And if you are a basketball fan, we're back on Monday with No Dunks. And I lost November's Pick'em in another close game. I had some brutal losses over the final week of our Pick'em battle. So that means I will have to eat a giant, nearly 4-pound pie, pumpkin pie from Costco.
Yeah.
Starting on Monday.
And you hate pumpkin pie.
I don't like pumpkin pie. I hate it. I do hate it.
So what's your strategy here? Like what?
I'm not doing it in one sitting. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
I think it's gonna take me days. This thing is huge.
It is big.
And especially if I don't like it.
Do you think the whipped cream would help?
I think so.
Or hinder.
I
We'll
think it'll make
give you some
flavor, but-
Ready Whip next to it.
Yeah.
It'd make a lot of noise.
That's
Who
okay.
cares?
Okay.
I'm like, the only good thing about losing a pick and pay is like, hey, you guys do the show. I'm eating pie. That's the other part. I gotta host a show.
That's true, and you're like eating.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing, man.
I know, man.
That's the bit.
I know.
Sorry.
That's the bit. I know. So anyway, that's starting Monday. If you want to see a man eat a giant ass pie, join us in No Dunks. Otherwise, happy Thanksgiving again, and we will see you next week here with No Bus. Till then, the tribe has spoken.
Bye.